Hello everyone, my name is Zan for those who don't know, and today is day 16 I think of my daily hunt logs. And of course I'm fighting Rey Dau again to practice for Proof of a Hero. And today I actually thought about something random while thinking about Ascendance, a possible, I wouldn't say conspiracy, but a theory. So pretty much goes like this. We know about the Ascendants being, a really high place in the sky. Um, that's well, I guess we're assuming it's pretty high in the sky. Um, but as far as we know, everything is just sort of floating. And so with that, we know that with their technology, oh my goodness, with their technology, they were able to set up a sort of civilization in the sky. How big exactly? We aren't very sure. But um, I want to put a bit more emphasis on the idea that there is another sort of dragon torch technology on the sky civilization. I assume this because the Guardians are still coming up in the sky with us, such as Fulgur Angina, and so on. I wouldn't really think this is possible unless there was something giving enough power to give birth to them. Um, so this either happens with um, a dragon torch already being part of the sky civilization, or um, or it was somehow reconnected in some kind of um, in a similar way that we reconnected like the cannon in the dogfight. You know how we like manipulated the will material to connect the cannon to power it? Unless we physically reconnected with the sky to give it like sort of power again, which doesn't make sense to me why we would do that or know to do that. Um, so it's better for me to assume that there is already some sort of dragon torch technology up there, um, to power the sky and to ensure guardians can also be created up there. That is my assumption. That is it. I want to say it makes sense. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh well. So, with that said, I'm under the assumption that there is another Dragon Torch up there, as well as one in the ground that we already know of, with Zoshia, manipulating it and all that. So, yeah, I've only thought a little bit about this theory, so I'm trying to figure out how to put it into words. We've defeated Zoshia, so the Dragon Torch can pretty much come back to full power, essentially, because it wasn't being utilized to its full capacity because of Zoshia. That we know of through the story. And so, with that knowledge, I want to say the reason why we discover the sky civilization, whatever the name of the area is going to be. I don't quite remember if they said it already. It could be Simult or something else. Could be anything. Maybe we already know what the name of it's going to be. The Sky Area, I think, is what it's also called. Don't quite remember. I've watched a bunch of videos and I'm sort of getting names mixed up at the moment. But regardless, the Sky Civilization, I believe the reason why we discover it later in the DLC is because with the assumption that there is a dragon torch up there, I want to say it's coming back to Wyveria as a sort of magnet. We've seen the logo that it's taken a red and blue color scheme, and I want to give a guess and a theory, a possibility that it is because the two areas, Wyveria with the dragon torch and the sky civilization, sky area, are attracted to each other through a form of magnetism with the dragon torch technology. This makes sense to me in a lot of ways due to how they've already manipulated a lot of other natural forces such as storms, rain, um, even gravity itself, which can all be done um, to an extent with magnetism. Um, so for me, it stands to reason that if the Dragon Torch comes back and the natural magnetism comes back to full power, it goes to reason that the um, Sky Civilization slowly comes back to us because of this natural force that came back to the Wyveria. Does that sound crazy at all? Like, it does somehow the logic makes sense to me that that it makes sense that they would use some sort of technology to kind of keep the sky area not only in the air, but have a natural force that sort of keeps it grounded with us. But due to the fact that the Dragon Torch was weakened and had its power being drained by Zoshia, it sort of floated away to a farther sense. Not sure how far. Maybe it didn't stay that far away. It wasn't like lost to space or anything because the Dragon Torch on the Sky Civilization was still active, and so although weaker pull of magnetism still had some magnetism there to kind of keep it at least connected to Wyveria. But now that, obviously I've mentioned, now that the Wyveria Dragon Torch is back in working order, that connection has been reaffirmed, and the magnetism is now back to full strength to pull the Sky Civilization back to us, and that is why we find it, that is how we discover it, and that is how it moves around and stays, to a close enough distance, and maybe once it comes back, we're going to use either Wyveria or the Suja Mountains to sort of reach it, because it hasn't been confirmed how we get up to it. So unless they introduce like a whole new area, this is still obviously a theory, but that's kind of my working theory at the moment. Like, the Skyland for some reason lost, and we haven't found it for years because there's an obvious time skip in the expansion, which I'm still like kind of excited to see, like how Nada will grow up and how he will handle becoming a real hunter. I still want a lot to happen for that. Let's hope so. They did say they wanted an emphasis on the story. We didn't really get much of a story, but it could still be saved through the expansion, the story. So, here's to hopes. Anyways, for those who's watching and listening to that, would that make sense as a theory? Am I crazy? I mean, of course it doesn't have to be real. Maybe it's just like a whole new area somewhere else, and the sky area is forever moving without any sort of pull of magnetism happening, and it's using their own, technology. The technology makes sense too, because another theory I've had before in the base game of Wilds is that the Dragon Torch utilizes wyvern parts and materials to create the Dragon Torch. Because imagine the Dragon Torch itself created with, let's say, a heart of not just any wyvern or elder dragon, but with the heart of a Dalamador, which is, for those who don't know, the giant snake, which can expand to extremely long lengths. So what if, at some point, Wyveria have in fact killed a Dalamador, or if not, have seen one die with maybe old age or through other circumstances, harvested its heart to create the Dragon Torch, and from there, continue to expand the Dragon Torch, creating an artificial Everstream, which is essentially, well, we know the Everstreams are real through Monster Hunter Worlds and the natural connection the Everstream has with all land. And the Dragon Torch with the Everways, the passageways with the spiraling wilt parts connect all the lands very artificially, like the Everstream. And Guardians absorb energy from this connection, much like how Safi'jiiva absorbed energy from the Everstream. So for those who played World, you would already know how the logic of the Everstream and the lore of Safi'jiiva absorbing energy from the land itself makes sense. So, to me, the Dragon Torch and its connection through all the lands is sort of a man-made artificial construct of the Everstream. And so, with them already creating so many natural forces of nature, such as the Everstream, such as manipulating gravity of buildings, such as, creating storms and changing the weather how they please. It just makes sense that they can maybe even control magnetism, which might be the core function of the Dragon Torch in its entirety, by controlling the way it works. And because magnetism can affect weather, magnetism can affect the weight of objects, and magnetism can in fact pull back the sky area back to us to sort of give it a lore accurate reason why it's even moving in the first place. I don't know when I thought about this, but I've been thinking about it for the last week now, and at least a week. And it just suddenly made sense that everything was bound to these logics, and I'm so very curious to see what kind of logic they'll use to do this. Oh my goodness, that still hit me. You guys saw that. That's messed up that still hits me. And so, yeah. That is my working theory of the expansion and the artificial creation of the Everstream and its control over the nature of the world. Having a man-made artificial Everstream on the Forbidden Lands. Yeah. If you guys have had any theories about the expansion, rather it's regarding the Sky Area or the Dragon Torch or the story in general, it doesn't necessarily have to involve the working theory I have going. I'm just curious of any possible theories, rather of monsters or the possible flagship that you guys have maybe thought of. I've seen a theory of where the Sky Area is Samult, because there is a possibility that it is that. I don't really know what Samult is, but it's been mentioned a few times in the story, and there's videos talking about it where it makes sense that it might even the Skyrie or Smolts might just be a monster or something. Um, yeah, it just might be something else entirely and not just a large piece of land. Um, but it is possible. Offsetting that attack is not a good idea, it seems, because I don't have enough time to get out of the way. Okay, let's get some Uthuna damage here. Hey, Rey Dau, let's pretend Uthuna's here and is gonna body slam you. If you wanna, come over here. There you go. Alright. Oh, Uthuna killed Rey Dau. We move on to Uthuna. But yeah. If you watched this, thanks for watching. Not sure why you'd put up listening to my voice all this time. But I am thankful for those who do take the time to watch it. I sort of enjoy just going on rants and doing these videos. Um, and I really didn't know how to bring up that theory that I've been thinking about. Not that I've been thinking about it that hard. I was just trying to find the words to explain it. And it makes sense. It makes so much sense to me how it could just all be. I mean, we already know that the Dragon Torch is an artificial man-made technology, and we as Hunters Guild don't necessarily understand its how it's created and everything. And there's a lot of mystery to it. And this, but we know that it affects um, the natural forces of the world in certain areas to sort of benefit uh, themselves in certain ways. So yeah, that's my big idea on with the logo having a blue and red sort of color scheme and a sort of figure eight, sort of infinity, sort of wrapping around. It's just my idea that that two areas could very possibly be connected through magnetism. So yeah, if you watched till the end, thank you, and sorry that you are putting up through me going on my rants. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.